Establishing authority is one way that I am planning to market Battleborn Bride. If I were a nonfiction author and I were writing about something like medical topics, most readers would be more likely to purchase my book or to click on my articles if I had some medical background, if I was a doctor or a researcher of some kind. If I were writing about educational topics, someone might expect me to be a teacher or a school administrator. My area of expertise is Nevada history and archival subjects, basically researching in archival materials, preserving archival materials, helping other people research in archival materials, and I do have a pretty good background in Nevada history, particularly when it comes to Nevada state government. So that is my plan. I am going to be building my authority, establishing my authority as someone who has spent more than a decade working with Nevada state historical records, specifically those related to Nevada state government, Nevada statehood, and I'm hoping that that will make maybe some readers more interested in reading my book. Now, Battleborn Bride is not a nonfiction book, but the book does contain historic events, places, and people that I am familiar with, and I want to establish my authority in talking about those people. I can't guarantee that everything is 100% accurate because our understanding of history changes over time as new information becomes available. So I wrote about the history of Nevada. I wrote about the history of Mark Twain based on what I know at this point in time and based on what other people have researched as well. So these are the current understanding of the development of Nevada as a state, the development of Mark Twain as a person, and I did throw in some of my own thoughts on that. That's where the fiction part comes in. So my characters are basically relating to the people, places, and events that I have researched, but they're putting their own spin on it. And in that way, in some cases, maybe they're sharing some of my perspective on the situations. So I feel that establishing my authority in archival topics, in historical research, in Nevada state history, will help me to at least show that I am more than qualified to write a historical fiction about this time period. And I did do a little extra research into other topics like Victorian mourning customs and the types of things that would have been in day-to-day use at that time, the 1863-1864 time period. I also had someone read my book who was familiar with the history of Kansas, the state of Kansas, and what was happening there at that period of time, because I do open the book in Lawrence, Kansas, and I got positive feedback. She said that she felt like she was there. So I feel that the research I did on that subject served my story well. And that goes back to me being able to do historic research based on the job I did for 17 and a half years. Now, I've always been a fan of history, more so as an adult than when I was a child, but I have done things like genealogical research as well. And I am pretty particular about the information that I will believe. I do double check my sources. I do look at a variety of sources because one source might be biased. And if you find a series of sources that say similar things, you can start to pick out the biases and determine what is factual based on what the leanings of the author might have been. So I try to do that. I try to use multiple sources. I have obviously looked at original documentation, specifically things like the Nevada State Constitution. I know very well what that looks like. I am familiar with the current Nevada State Constitution because it has been amended over time, of course. The original Constitution is stored in the Nevada State Archives, very heavily protected, but the modern version of the Nevada State Constitution is available online through the legislative website. Anybody can access it at any period of time, so you can see what kind of changes may have been made to that Constitution. And throughout the course of Nevada history, I had to answer questions related to some of the changes that came about over the years relating to the Constitution. People had questions relating to taxation and other topics. So I am very familiar. I can't quote the Nevada State Constitution, of course, but I am very familiar with tracking down the information that answers specific questions. And some of the questions I got while working at the Nevada State Archives were from people like the assistants to state legislators who were researching topics in order to update a bill that they were presenting before the legislature, or through some of the state government agencies where they were actually trying to build a budget item and they needed to know what they had historically done in the past with their budget. So I have a lot of expertise, a lot of knowledge, a lot of hands-on experience working with archival records, working with Nevada state government agencies, and I feel that this gives me a particular outlook when I'm writing historical fiction. I tried to keep the book light. It is a short read. It's not a dense novel. It is actually a very short novel. It is about 53,000 words, and it is that comes out to about, I think, 200, a little over 200 pages in the paperback version. So I wanted to make it accessible to people who maybe don't want to read dense historical books. And I'm hoping that this will also appeal to younger people, maybe high school age, who are interested in learning Nevada history without actually taking Nevada history classes, or they may be studying some type of history and they want to just relax with a book. I do know that some teachers keep a library in the classroom so that when the students are done with their work for the day, they may be able to sit down and read something. So I'm hopeful that maybe this book would be something that a teacher might like to include in their classroom library so that their students, it might not necessarily be a history class, it could be an English class or something, but I'm hoping it will be an accessible way for students to become interested in that specific period of time relating to Nevada statehood and Carson City history, because there's, there is some scholarship on the time period, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand the evolution of Nevada from territory to state. And I mean, why should they really? Because I think most of us don't even know the history of our own state. I grew up in California and I did take California history classes, but I couldn't tell you as much about California becoming a state as I can about Nevada because of my expertise while working here. I may go back and do a little bit more research into California history because now I'm curious. That is my home state, and California, or Californians, did have a lot to do with Nevada statehood because a lot of people who had gone to California during the gold rush in 1849 bounced back to Nevada when the gold played out, or I should say Nevada territory when the gold played out, and the Comstock lode silver started to become a big thing. They bounced from California back to Nevada. So many people who were here at that time were Californians. Of course, they started on the East Coast, came out to California, bounced back to Nevada. That's a very common story. And that's what my characters do in Battleborn Bride. Not necessarily my main character, Sarah Jane Avery, comes from Kansas to Nevada for a very particular reason, but her aunt and uncle went to California for the gold rush, and then they moved back to Carson City after the gold played out, and people were not really going out there to try to work the gold fields. There were problems with drought and agriculture, and California was a little bit difficult at that period of time, so they felt that there was more opportunity for them in Nevada. Now, Sarah's aunt and uncle were not specifically panning for gold in California. They were actually in business supporting people who had come out to California. So when they come back to Nevada, they actually run a boarding house in Carson City, which is very useful. It's very profitable because a lot of people are passing through Nevada territory. Carson City was the territorial capital, then the state capital. It was very close to Virginia City and Dayton and Silver City, all of the areas where the Comstock lode was located. So people would be passing through Carson City from California and from Virginia City. It was a hub of activity. And Abraham Curry, who was one of the founders of Carson City, some people consider him the father of Carson City, he was very set on Carson City becoming the state capital. And he had a lot to do with state government, first territorial government, then state government, using specific buildings that he had built for government purposes. So all of these kind of things factor into Battle Born Bride. And the reason I know these things is from all my time working at the Nevada State Archives. Because when I wasn't working on a request, if I was working through documents, if I was basically processing records, I would sometimes read through the documentation. I was involved in scanning territorial telegrams that related to Governor Nye, so territorial Governor Nye's telegrams and things like that. I helped to scan them and get them uploaded. So of course I read those while I was scanning and doing metadata and everything that needed to be done on that front. So all of those things, just in my day-to-day job, I was constantly being bombarded with information about the history of Nevada. So that's why my plan now is to start proving my authority, I guess, proving my background, proving the fact that I am someone who can write about this in an authoritative way, and that the information I present can be trusted because, like I said, history does evolve over time based on the understanding of a particular generation with the records that they have accessed and studied. But sometimes in an archives, it's not like a library where you can go and just pick up a book and, you pull it off the shelf and you know exactly what's in that book. Archival records can be found in a variety of ways, and you can't just go and pull out every little piece of information you need about a specific topic. So that's why working in an archives for as long as I did, I came across little bits and pieces of information through various state agency offices, through particular people like Governor Nye, and I was able to start piecing those pieces of information together in such a way to give me an idea of what was happening in Carson City at that time period. So that's probably a little more detailed than anybody's really interested in, but I do want to start showing my authority, exhibiting my authority, creating an authoritative presence for myself. I want to be known as somebody who can talk knowledgeably about this topic. And I may not always talk in such a way that it's understandable. Sometimes I get a little carried away and start talking in circles. I'm going to work on that. But I am hoping that I can become something of an authority on the time period, and that people will not only read my book, but they will be encouraged to ask me questions. I am happy to answer questions. I love answering questions. That was one of my favorite parts of working in an archives, was being able to do the research and answer questions for people. So I'm hoping with Battle Born Bride that I'll be able to open a new avenue for myself where I can actually go and do appearances, talk to groups of people about that time period, about my book, about what was happening in Carson City and the state of Nevada. I may not have all the answers they need right away, but during those kind of events, I can actually make notes of the questions I'm asked. If I don't have the answers, I know where to go to find the information. And then in future events, I will have more answers to those questions. So I'm not saying I'm all-knowing. I am not really what a lot of people would consider an expert. I am just very knowledgeable on the subject. And my expertise really comes into finding more information, the information that I need to talk more authoritatively about my subject. So that's my plan going forward now. We have uploaded Battleborn Bride to Draft to Digital, so both the ebook and the paperback versions are in progress. The ebooks will not be available until October 31st. So currently, if you are interested in pre-ordering a copy, please go to Amazon. I'll put the link down in the description. If you are interested in an advanced review copy to provide an honest review, I will put a link to Book Sirens down in the description. I've already had one person take me up on that, so I'm looking forward to getting at least one review, hopefully more. And we are just waiting for the draft to digital processes to go through so that we can order a proof copy, make sure that's okay, and then once we approve that proof copy, so it will have to be mailed to us, and I have to look through it physically. Once we approve that proof copy, the paperback will then be available for me to order my author copies so that I am prepared for October, because that's my hope, is that I have plenty of copies in hand for October events. They're starting to stack up. I'm pretty sure now there are 2 occasions when JT and I are going to do what we're calling divide and conquer. So we're actually going to be doing 2 events on one day, one of us at one event and the other one of us at the other event. So, there are only so many places we can be at one time, but thankfully there are 2 of us, so we can do 2 events in the same day. We will split our inventory, our book inventory. I think that for any events I do in October that are not specifically related to Battleborn Bride, I will probably not have copies on hand, or I won't provide copies to JT at least. Those will be specifically for the events that I'm doing to promote Battleborn Bride. But we've got a lot going on, and that's one reason I didn't do a full video yesterday. There was so much going on that my brain would not settle on one topic to discuss. So I just did a quick short, which I posted to both TikTok and here, saying I didn't know what to do because basically I was at that point where there's just so much going on. I just couldn't settle on one thing. So fortunately, today feels a little less harried. Like I said, we did get things uploaded to Draft to Digital, so that's in progress. The Book Sirens ARC copies are available, and I did have one taker. I've gotten 3 pre-orders now, I think, on Amazon, so that's exciting. And I'm hopeful, since we still have at least a little over 2 months now until Battleborn Bride is in wide release, I'm hopeful that I can get a little bit more attention on it, and maybe my actual release week, so the day the book comes out and the days following that, so that first week once the book is out, I'm hoping that actually will be a good one this time around, because when I released Haunt Season, I kind of made release week the days leading up to my release, because I really didn't expect much to happen when the book dropped, which is what happened, because I didn't really promote it much. But I will say that in the last couple of weeks, I sold copies of both Passion Restored and Haunt Season. So I suspect somebody may have bought the first book and then came back for the second, which is awesome. That's what we want. And I also think they were both paperbacks, which is even more awesome. So I'm hopeful that that will continue to happen. And I am working on book 3 that will hopefully be out either late 2026, early 2027. JT and I are still co-writing another romance in the Queens and Consort series, which goes along with From Tundra to Tiara. So we're thinking that might come out around Valentine's Day in 2027. We kind of have to get it finished first. And JT is working on Sheriff in Nevada and his mystery project that he has not really talked about yet, which is kind of sitting. I don't know quite where he is in that process yet, but we have a lot of books coming up. My real main focus right now, of course, is Battleborn Bride, but I'm also working a bit here and there on my Spooktober poems, and I will be doing more about that very soon, because August is coming to an end here real quick, folks, and if I want to get the Spooktober poems ready in time for October, I really need to get them done. So what I'm currently doing is I'm basically writing them out by hand in a notebook that I'm going to bring them down here and type them up. I will also type them into my computer because I'm going to want to format them to create a book. I did create a book cover and a title. Not 100% sure if I'm going to change the title of the book or not, because there's actually a product that has the same name as this title, and I don't know if that might be problematic, but I really like the title, so we'll see how that goes. But my plan is to have the Spooktober poetry book available at the end of September so that anybody who might be interested can follow along with my Spooktober videos throughout October. And I need to get the poems done so I can actually record those videos and get them posted on here. My plan is to record and post them and then have them set up to just automatically go live on specific dates, so that I'm not working on them throughout October when I'm going to be busy promoting Battleborn Pride. So as you can tell, there's a lot going on right now. And like I said yesterday, my brain just kind of fritzed and I just could not figure out what to talk about. So I just posted a couple shorts to TikTok and YouTube. And I don't know, that might happen more often as I'm working through this process, trying to get everything, all my ducks in a row, you might say, because we haven't been doing many events recently. I do have my appearance at the Churchill County Library in Fallon, Nevada next Tuesday, so a week from today at 6 p.m. If you are in Northern Nevada, specifically the Fallon area, I hope you'll stop by. I will be talking about my Restless Spirits books, Passion Restored and Haunt Season. I'll probably have copies of From Tundra to Tiara with me there as well. So I'll probably be talking about the romance of Nevada. And I'm looking forward to that because JT did his appearance there a few months ago and everybody was very kind and they had a lot of great questions. So I'm really looking forward to it because up to this point, I've done one other appearance kind of where I actually did a reading and people asked me questions and only 3 people showed up. It was at a retirement community. And basically the reason for that was it happened to be at the exact same time that the World Cup was happening and everybody was off watching soccer. So, these things happen, but I'm hopeful that next week will be a good appearance. I will definitely take you along on that. And I will take you along with all the appearances that we do throughout October. We do have one scheduled for September, I think. We're going to be doing Pagan Pride in Reno. It will be at Idlewild Park, I believe, which is near the Truckee River. It's a beautiful park. And actually, our youngest daughter got married in one of the buildings in that park. So I don't know. I don't think we've been back there for a while. So it will be nice to be in that area. And since we are doing Pagan Pride, I'm thinking I might do a few little swag items related to my Restless Spirits books, the 2 books so far. Maybe little items that relate to that because those do deal with paranormal activity and they use protective symbols. And some of that is, relates to paganism. There are mentions of Celtic things in my Restless Spirits books. So I'm looking at maybe doing a few little items that I can sell at the Pagan Pride Festival because it'd be nice to just try something a little bit different. We are trying to beef up our display of what we do because mostly right now it's just our books. But I will have hopefully my Battleborn Bride bookmarks ready to go. They're not supposed to arrive until August 31st, so I probably won't have them for the library next week, but I will have them available for Pagan Pride, and I will also be taking them out and about when I'm wearing my I'm an author, ask me about my book t-shirt just out in public. I plan to have my bookmarks on me, so if anybody asks me, I'm going to specifically talk about that book and try to generate some interest. And I'll be doing a lot more of that as we get into October and we start talking, at least in Nevada and especially around Carson City, we start talking a lot about Nevada Day. And I plan to use Nevada Day to promote the heck out of Battleborn Bride. So, there's just so many exciting things going on. I feel like we're making progress, but not. I mean, it's kind of a weird area to be in, but I'm really hoping that Battleborn Bride takes off. If it doesn't, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed, but I'll just get back to work and focus on writing and publishing more books. And we'll just keep doing this until people get so sick of hearing about us that maybe they'll just buy them, put them on a shelf, and say, okay, we bought your book, leave us alone. I'm kidding, of course. I'd love people to read my books, but it just depends. Not every book is for everybody, and I do know that a lot of people are not reading as much as they used to. But like I said, I'm very hopeful. I have a lot of high hopes for Battleborn Bride, so I hope you will follow along with these videos as I continue to work through this process. I did watch there was an Authors Guild Zoom presentation, I guess, with a couple of people who are involved in promoting books and specifically digital promotion of books. And I did get a few ideas from them. So one of the things I will be doing going forward will probably be to write up some articles that I will be posting to my Substack. And actually, I can put a link to my Substack down below as well. And in case you want to follow along and check out those articles, because that's where I'm going to start really promoting my authority to write about Nevada history. So thank you for following along. If you've actually watched this video to this point, I really appreciate it. I do hope that you continue to follow along on this adventure as I am figuring out how to promote my books better, because in the past, JT and I have just kind of let them drop and haven't really had much success with that. So we're hoping to improve on it. And if you are an aspiring author who is interested in marketing, you can follow along and let us make any mistakes that you can then maybe learn to avoid. But definitely, you can also check out my other playlists. Like I will have my Spooktober playlist going as well. And there's a lot of content on this channel. I've been posting every day this year in my Life of a Writer 2026 playlist. So if you want to go through all of my wacky adventures, they're on there. But I've also started breaking those out into specific areas like editing, fast drafting, marketing, and just general publishing knowledge. JT and I also have two podcasts. We have the CC and JT Amateur Hour, which we did win an award for. And we also have the Nevada Author Network, which is a collaboration with the Sierra Arts Foundation and the Sierra Arts Literary Community. So if you go to our website at www.carsonhume.com, you can find all of that information and links to all of our social media. We are all over the place. So not only have I been posting daily videos on here, I've actually been a lot more consistent with this platform than I have with any of my others this year, but I hope to change that. So you can learn all about all of that stuff just by going to our website. And again, if you've made it this far, I thank you for joining me. I hope you will continue to follow along. I hope you're having a great day and week so far, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is The Life of a Writer. Take care.